Foresight Wrestling Podcast on the one and only 411 Podcast Network.
I am Justin Watry. You are listening to the 411 Foresight Wrestling Podcast. As usual, I am joined by Steve. How you doing?
Hey, fantastic. With you as always is Garth.
No. Party on. But
Party
anyway,
on.
We got a few things. Obviously, we're going to talk about Paul Heyman's, quote-unquote, Paul Heyman's Raw from this past Monday night. We got, obviously, controversy with All Elite Wrestling, the little Chairshot thingamajig. We're going to talk about who... Yeah. We're going to talk about who Alistair Black may be facing.
Or may not be facing.
Or knocking on doors, or whatever he's planning on doing.
Knock, knock, knocking on Alistair's door.
Hey, that's a good song.
Hey, I can do it.
There you go. So we'll be talking about that. Of course, Extreme Rules is in, I think it's in like a week and a half already.
Oh, really? Wow.
Yeah, they're coming quick. But anyways, I wrote here on Twitter here, I got a few things. So
time flies when you're desperate for ratings.
Whoa. Took 30 seconds.
Right?
30 seconds. And by the way, I think they went up about 20%.
They did.
Week.
They had an impressive showing this week.
So I'm guessing the curiosity of the Heyman stuff.
Oh, absolutely.
Or even after the Undertaker return, people may have been like, I wonder if he'll show up this week. But anyways, before I get to a few personal things going on here in the lab, we're going to do a quick little Twitter question I was sent from the Grievance Committee. Nice name. I love it.
Uh-oh.
He just basically asks about Bray Wyatt and when are we finally going to get a match?
That's a good question. They've been building and building and building, and now you have the little cameos backstage or whatever. I almost wonder, is there such thing as too much build-up? Like, are they building him up too much, and then when he finally does make an appearance, are we going to be disappointed because it's been built up so much, you know?
Well, I'm used to disappointing people, so I'm going to just say that I agree with you, and it's almost the Alistair Black with the promos thing. It's
right.
Like, can we get to it already?
Yeah, right, exactly. I mean, I know they got to sell pay-per-views and all that, but you got to give us something.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's more than overdue at this point, and I have no idea. I mean, I know it's Philadelphia, so they'd give them a big reaction at Extreme Rules.
Whoa, wait, Extreme Rules is in Philly?
It is.
Heyman's all over Raw? Oh, this is going to be something.
Are you assuming Bray is going to be on Raw?
Well, no, I'm just saying that we're going to be in Philadelphia, which we all know is notorious for having some hardcore fans, and then they love Paul Heyman.
Hardcore is the word.
They just love Paul Heyman to death. I mean, you're going to hear EC Dub chants all night.
They probably will be doing that as always. But
guaranteed.
I have no idea when Bray Wyatt is going to have his first match. I know they've finally stopped with the Firefly Funhouse.
And how will Roman be received in Philly? You know, he's had a rocky relationship with that town.
By the way, Roman, just like Finn, another week where he is not on SmackDown.
Yeah, where was
he? Finn Balor did the little tease with Nakamura. Not this past week, but 2 weeks ago, and then nothing again.
And nothing, yeah.
And Balor's been a guy who's not been on SmackDown since the Superstar shakeup at all. And
is he hurt?
Roman's been on Raw, I think, the past 2 weeks without SmackDown. So remember, these guys were moved to SmackDown.
Right, exactly. And
Balor, the thing, I don't know. I'm still thinking his Money in the Bank. Wasn't he the one who got powerbombed, like that flip powerbomb? Remember, and then the ladders exploded. On
Andrade, he took a ton of hits at that Money in the Bank pay-per-view.
Yeah, I think he even hasn't been on too many live events. So actually, the idea of Balor being hurt,
I mean, that makes sense.
It might carry a little bit of weight, but I kind of sidetracked here, but I did say a few things, so I want to first publicly thank Mr. Steve here for helping me last week with my tire.
Oh, yes, yeah. I got to school a son of how to change a tire. That was pretty cool.
Teach me a lesson or two. So basically last week, right after recording this, I started to drive out of the driveway, and all of a sudden my light, and I have a new car, so no light should be coming on my car.
Right.
Not for a while with 7,000 miles on it. So all of a sudden, I felt, oh, wait a minute, why am I driving like this? Why does it feel like the car is sloping and I'm bloom, bloom, bloom?
You know, that sluggish feeling you get.
Yeah, we all get that. And sure enough, tire on the front was shot. And no, I do not know how to change a tire on my own.
Well, you do now.
But luckily, Steve saved the day for me.
Well, luckily, I was on my way to get food. And then there's a familiar-looking guy standing on the side with his phone in his hand. I'm like, well, what's up, dude?
So I hope the Burger King was worth it.
No, actually it wasn't. Burger King sucked. No offense. I mean, actually, all offense. Burger King catches this. Their meal that I had last week was absolute garbage.
Oh boy,
And
we
the
love
meal I
Burger
had
King.
and the meal I had before that at Burger King was absolute garbage. So sorry, Burger King, 2 strikes, out.
Wow, we like Burger King here.
I did until they got rid of their sourdough stuff, and I had to venture into new ideas. And now
We don't like change. We don't like change.
I don't like change. I'm not a big fan.
It's the '90s Burger King,
Right? Yeah.
Besides that, I also had some family BS. I wasn't even home for 4 days. Spider-Man, saw that Monday night. Stranger Things is out now. And also, since I know he is listening right now, shout out to my buddy at work. His name is Alex.
Hi, Alex.
Hi, Alex. How you doing? I bet you're smiling right now listening to this. But he kind of found me out. He
Uh-oh.
He went on YouTube, and all of a sudden they had like a suggested for you or whatever, or recommended.
Yeah.
And I try to keep all, this stuff and everything personal and work separate,
Yeah,
just
same here.
No
Right.
reason to do that. And, needless to say, we were at Summerfest the other day, and he kind of mentioned a few things. And and he's like, oh, this, and this. And I'm just like, all right. So you got me. So he wanted a little shout out, so I'm giving him a little shout out now, but it's kind of weird now because obviously now he's asking like, oh, that's why you're telling all these stories at work, and
Yeah.
you talk sometimes, and all this stuff. So
I have to say, you are
it
one of
makes
the most elusive people. Like, every time I try to get any kind of information out of you, it's like pulling teeth out of a beaver. Like, it's insane how...
a beaver.
Well, because they have big teeth.
Oh, I see. I thought you were
Sharp, pointy teeth.
insulting me. I don't have that big a teeth.
No, it's hard to get any kind of information out of you.
All right. Well, Alex,
You'd be perfect for the CIA. I mean, not the CIA, the, oh, crap.
Secret Service,
We're
FBI.
we're getting raided.
Oh boy, we're done for. The lab is being. All right.
The lab.
So shout out to Alex. I guess he found me out, so now he wants to listen and do all this crap. So there you go, man. You got it. So we're gonna jump into.
Here we go.
Here we go.
Head first.
We're gonna jump right into quote unquote Paul Heyman's Raw. Apparently,
Raw is Heyman.
Raw is Heyman. So we're not really going to discuss SmackDown too much because honestly, it didn't feel too different at all. And by reports, Bischoff won't be starting
Right, till after the pay-per-view.
Till after the pay-per-view. He's even going to move to Connecticut, which a lot of people, don't like as part of it. But, if you're going to be in meetings all day and kind of have to
Right,
be with
and
them.
I mean that's a big showing that he's actually got some faith in this position too.
Yeah, that actually is a huge move to me because I don't know if I don't know where Heyman lives, honestly, but I don't know if he would or a lot of other people. But I remember in I think it was 2002 when Bischoff came in as the Raw GM. No actual power, but on screen.
On screen.
And I think one of the first things he said was, "I'll do it. I'll do every week. I'll come in. You can basically do whatever you want to me, but I won't move."
Right.
So it's kind of interesting now, 17 years later, that he's kind of up for it. And
He could also be in a different position in his life where he has the ability. Maybe he had kids back then, and now they're out of school and college or whatever, doing whatever.
And I think obviously, having power now, you want to go all
right.
in.
I mean, you want to be present in all those decision-making areas.
You want to be involved. So we're just going to kind of focus on Paul Heyman's Raw here, and we're going to call it Paul Heyman's Raw, even if it wasn't. So the opening segment.
That's good because I didn't watch SmackDown.
Oh my! Well, they didn't get quite the ratings bump that Raw saw, so I think people kind of knew that was coming. Right. So we're gonna start here. Bobby Lashley and Braun Strowman started False Count Anywhere.
Wow!
And I don't think we really need to discuss the match because honestly, who cares?
Did the match even ever get started? Really?
I don't know, and honestly, I don't care. So the thing was, obviously, at the end, was it Braun who tackled Lashley?
Yeah. Braun put, you see them take on these LED boards, and every now and then they get cracked or they start, wavering in their lights or whatnot. You never actually see somebody go through the darn thing.
Yeah, that was a nice callback to Rhino goring
Jericho.
Oh,
yeah, right. Yeah, that's right.
I think it was summer 2001, building up to the SummerSlam match. But
didn't he almost crack his head or something on something?
I don't know. That's even tough. Like, how do you even set that up? Because once you're doing it full force, I mean, you don't know what's
There's
gonna
no
really
stopping.
Yeah, they're going. So, I mean, the rumor is they might get a new stage. But
yeah, that's what I heard. They're redesigning stuff, and that was a reason.
I mean, it would make sense. I think with this new move, you do have to finally make Raw and SmackDown SmackDown.
Right, absolutely.
So if this was the first step towards that, I understand it. But otherwise, very cool opening scene. Obviously, them destroying the Titantron.
Hey, it was nice to see Pyro again.
A little bit. Yeah. Pyro is nice for Corey Graves to yell "Holy!"
Whoa, hey.
SHIT, which was very cool. Nice little moment there. USA Network obviously had a heads up not to bleep that out.
Right.
And I wrote in my column, 411mania.com, which I'm taking this off of. I am going to say that this was a good opening segment.
Just real quick, they are on a 7-second delay, so if they wanted to bleep it out, they sure could have.
Yeah,
and
they
they
could
opted
have.
not to.
Right, so they had some sort of heads up at
Right.
least. So they knew that was coming. And I wrote it as a good opening segment and just kind of like a little game we're going to play here. I mean, this answer
Ooh, I
seems
like
kind of
games.
obvious. I like games, even though I lose them all. But
Every time, but hey.
I would just say Paul Heyman or not Paul Heyman.
All right, well, here we go. I'm going to dig back in the memories here. It's been a long week. It's been warm.
All right, well, I'm going to say the opening was definitely Paul
That
Heyman.
was definitely, yeah. I mean, it just had that edgier vibe to it.
It certainly seemed like it, and I have no doubt Heyman, went to Vince and said, look, we got 10 minutes in the opening segment to hook viewers.
Right. You got to grab them and you got to make them want to stay.
Yeah, and it's the whole thing with setting up a pay-per-view. That's why a big match always starts.
Right.
You're not going to start it with whatever, some dumpy tag match that means nothing or something.
Right, exactly.
You're going to start it out big and hook viewers, and then from there kind of work your way through the card.
They tried that, and that's what happened at WrestleMania 8. You got Michaels and Tito Santana. Woo.
Hey, we love Michaels here.
Oh, I love Shawn Michaels. Absolutely. Got his autograph.
What? You do?
Oh, yeah. I gave the guy a hug, too. Yeah,
come on.
I got the Shawn Michaels Mr. WrestleMania DVD.
Oh, come on.
Oh, yeah. Dude is awesome. Very nice guy.
Well, now I'm jealous of that.
Ha, 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 ha.
But anyways, I like
got
how
pictures of it, too.
What?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Now I'm super jealous.
Ha, ha, ha.
All right, so we got the big opening segment, and I like that they kept going back to it.
Yeah, that was cool. They kept giving us updates. Renee Young, props to her. She looked legitimately shook. I mean, yeah, Michael Cole and Corey Graves were pulling it off too, but Renee looked like she was seriously upset. So you kind of almost have to wonder how much the announcers really knew, or maybe they personally kept her in the dark for the whole thing. I don't know. But
I mean, Corey Graves was obviously giving a heads up.
Right, because he had his little word.
His little word. It wouldn't surprise me about Renee. That's a good idea. Or maybe she saw the pictures of John Moxley's back. After,
oh, yeah.
Or maybe she was still thinking about that.
Right? Oh.
So I like that they kept going back to it.
By the way, like, how long now? Did we put an egg timer on how long it would take for John Moxley to get extreme, quote unquote?
Yeah, so much for taking it easy now. Yeah, so much for that. So
he's 3-inch scars,
nothing big. So I'm glad they kept going back to it. And even SmackDown started with them, and like the cold open of them looking at the camera, saying we had a situation Monday night and all that. So I like that they did that. I will say a small little nitpick, I guess, was I want to say it was like 20 or 30 minutes. The screen lit back up again. It didn't stay black and broken and everything. It was right back to what it was. And it was like, come on. I mean, yeah, I get it. People worked on it to fix it, but they should have just kept the carnage laying there.
I agree. I didn't even notice that, to be honest.
And I think it was...
I noticed when Seth came out, there was a big black box where his logo usually goes to SFNR.
I think it was... I forgot the pay-per-view. It was in 2011. I think Mark Henry and Big Show destroyed the ring.
Yeah.
Well, maybe it was Vengeance 2011. Nope, it was No, whatever. Who cares? I think it was Vengeance. I could be wrong. I'm going to be wrong.
Whatever. They did it. I remember it happening.
They broke the ring, and then there was still Cena and Del Rio in the last man standing match, and they didn't fix the ropes or anything. They just had a match around.
Oh, really?
Everything broken down, and I thought that was super cool.
That
No, it was very cool, and that's when Cena and Del Rio traded the title back and forth for a few pay-per-views.
Oh, yeah.
Until Del Rio ended up with it. And then a month later, CM Punk beat him.
CM Punk.
And that started that 14-month reign. But anyways, I thought it was cool they laid it out. So up next, this was kind of a, I don't like the word botch, but the Street Profits open Raw by showing up on the screen, standing there.
Hanging out.
Just
like
hanging out, not NXT at all. But anyways, I actually wrote bad for this. And I wrote it because this brought me back to the Viking Raiders or Viking experience being called up to the main roster
while still champions.
It just didn't make sense to me. I mean, it fixes, again, the whole NXT now tag division. What do they do with that? Here these guys are. I mean, you can laugh at the wild card rule, but how are these guys even here? Are they called up? Are they not? Later reports said they're not. This was just kind of a one-off thing. But I wrote bad just because, it just didn't make too much sense. And then I even gave a little flashback at the Fastlane pay-per-view we were at in 2017.
Oh, yeah.
Before Goldberg and Kevin Owens had their Universal title match.
Jericho logo.
Jericho's little screen logo thing popped up on the screen, and it was like, great. Well,
we know what's happening there. From what I heard is that there was actually a lot of politics that went into bringing the Street Profits up, which says to me and I think other people have said this as well, is that Paul Heyman really likes the Street Profits and really wanted them on his part of Raw. I mean, you want to have new young guys on there. You want to like generate a buzz because it's your first night on the job, all that good stuff. But apparently, there was a lot of shindigging that had to go around just to get them up there.
A lot of shenanigans.
So apparently, I'm thinking maybe Triple H agrees with you and me, because I also agree. If you're a champion in one division or in one area, stay there, serve your time, drop the title, come up, that type of thing.
Yeah, I will say that Paul Heyman appeared in one segment, not anything like that. It was all about Brock Lesnar, which he does anyways. And
he didn't mention his new position either.
No, which he shouldn't. He
Exactly.
does not like authority figures anyways. But I was saying that he appeared with one other talent that night, and it was with Street Profits. So clearly he had a say in that. So he wouldn't have done that, with people he didn't like or believe in. And
got a whole new appreciation for solo cups.
And right. And about the politics part, his first night on the job, and you go and talk to two NXT guys and say you're going to be on Raw, you instantly have two allies for life.
Right.
Those guys are forever going to say, Heyman, I owe you this. Or
I'm surprised they don't have Paul Heyman guy shirts.
I'll jump through hoops for you. It's one of those things where instantly now he has them, in his palm of his hand, if you want to say it that way. So
it's the Dangerous Alliance all over again.
Start it up. So
there we go.
Not that we really need it, but, was that a Paul Heyman segment or not? I would say yes.
I would say, yeah. I mean,
Street Profits.
The Street Profits being up there in general is all Heyman doing.
I would say so. So up next we had the Viking Raiders, speaking of, versus the New Day. That quickly turned into a 6-man tag match with Samoa Joe and Kofi.
I was actually kind of excited to see a tag match. And then they had to bring I mean, not that it was a bad, 6-man tag or whatever, but I was actually kind of excited to see the Vikings and the New Day kind of have a decent match.
Yeah, and this was actually a rare loss for Kofi Kingston as Joe choked him out. I think, I don't want to say this is his first loss since Mania, but he has not lost in a long time.
Yeah.
And it's just super cool that he has been winning and winning constantly. So for Joe to win, it kind of meant something.
Right, and I think it's really good story build-up because Joe is this monster. And Kofi is, Kofi, she's awesome and positive and all that, but Joe is just, he's intense, he's psychological, tells a great story. I think it's actually fitting for him to kind of have a couple of victories in his pocket before going in the main show, because now you're like, okay, he's going for that title. He really wants it, and maybe, he's got a shot at it.
Yeah, he needed this, especially because if you already forgot, a week ago he lost clean to Ricochet. So.
Right, and the fact that, him and Kofi are on different shows, and we were talking that, it's like almost a foregone conclusion that he's not going to take the title. But now it makes you question it because he beat him a couple of times.
He beat him already, and I like that he did get that win. So now he can say, hey, I already beat you once. So,
right.
I mean, it kind of brings me back a little bit last year where him and AJ kind of started a feud around the same time. So that's
Wendy.
Wendy. I love that. So
that was really good. I mean, that was really awesome storytelling.
So what do you think? Was that a Paul Heyman building up Joe?
Just from the feel of it, I'm going to say no. I'm going to say that was kind of the other side, stuff that's already been kind of in the works.
Yeah, I would say Joe, I mean, champions kind of lose non-title matches all the time.
Right.
So I would say that kind of fits a little bit. And Kofi, probably could lose once or twice. It's, it's okay.
Makes him human.
Yeah, it makes him human. It's okay. And I would say Heyman likes Joe. So it probably, he probably didn't say anything bad and probably was like, heck yeah, let's give him this win and make him look like a monster. So up next, I wrote The Good. Drake Maverick. Drake Maverick is
He finally did it.
He is the champion.
So proud of him.
So proud of him. And Renee is...
Much to her chagrin.
Yeah, she had some great facial reactions.
Oh, my God.
In the crowd where she, lifted her head and was just staring at R-Truth coming down, and Drake was like...
I actually caught a video just this afternoon because they're on their honeymoon. And I remember reading... a little bit of Twitter while Raw was going on saying that this honeymoon videos that they're going to put on are just going to be classic, great product.
Yeah, absolutely.
It was hilarious because the wife now he's all excited, USA, and we're having this party. And she looks at the camera and she's like, this is my life. This is what I have to deal with for the rest of my life.
And she just stared at him and gave him the look.
The look. We've all had that look.
We all know about that. So I thought it was very cool. He's a champ now, and he's doing his little honeymoon thing. And I think they went to Orlando, or they went to like where they live or something. And she was like, you took me where I live. And
they took, in the video that I watched, they showed up at EC3's house, and they were partying around his pool.
And he's like, but our honeymoon is 24/7, baby. So I love it. I don't know if that's necessarily a Heyman thing because this has been ongoing.
Yeah, I don't think that's on a Heyman thing.
But I will just say how quickly, the 24/7 title, wasn't it the only third hour of Raw, and then it turned to SmackDown, then it turned to whatever. So
yeah,
I wrote the good.
They abandoned the rules so quickly.
Yes, Cesaro is Superman. He basically beat the crap out of No Way Jose.
Yeah. Well, I mean, poor No Way Jose. That guy just can't seem to get anything under his legs. But
that's fine by me. And Cesaro was a Heyman guy.
Yeah, that's true. He was. I think that display of strength that he showed, doing all that craziness. I've heard that there's a new stable with him involved.
Really?
Last I saw, now they may have already abandoned this, but it was they came out on Main Event, and it was Cesaro, Bobby Roode, and
EC3?
Was it EC3?
I don't know.
No, I think it was somebody else.
Would you mind Googling it quick for me?
Yeah, I'll do that.
All right, cool.
You keep talking.
I'll keep talking about Cesaro. So I'm just looking at a video right now. I posted in my column again, 411mania.com, cheap plug there. I'm looking at it, and, Heyman is shaking hands with Cesaro. This was obviously the night after WrestleMania in 2014, and he was a Heyman guy, and I can't imagine his belief in him has really changed too much. So if Heyman, believed in him then, my guess is after his tag team with Sheamus the past few years, he probably still believes in him. There's really nothing still to doubt. I mean, as long as Cesaro stays healthy and keeps doing what he's doing, I have no problem with him beating up No Way Jose, especially because No Way Jose, that's kind of his role. That's kind of what he does. We've all been to live events, and him and especially the Lucha House Party. Those guys get the crowd going, and they're great, and they're fun act to do. And then, when Cesaro comes out, he can destroy him. So
right,
it works.
right. Yeah, it was EC3. You're right. The main event muscle.
The main event muscle.
But again, we didn't see it ever again. So maybe they've already.
If it says main event muscle, that implies they're just guys
just
on main
event, which,
which they obviously shouldn't be.
That's where EC3 shined.
Oh, right. Of course he did.
Oh, and that wedding.
No, and of course. So, what do you think? Heyman behind Cesaro again?
I mean, the guy definitely deserves to be in a top level, and for whatever reason, the brass have not put him there ever since Sheamus has conveniently disappeared due to injury or whatnot.
Yeah.
Cesaro's just been kind of hanging out there, and he actually looked like he legitimately was angry at Jose and this conga line thing going on. He just destroyed him, but it definitely does kind of have a Paul Heyman kind of feel to it.
It wouldn't surprise me if Heyman, slapped them upside the head and was like, "Go show some fire."
Right.
Bring
me angry.
Back. Get angry. And for what it's worth, Sheamus was backstage at SmackDown.
Yeah.
So, that might be a clue.
I mean,
there.
Cesaro's a good heel. He can really play any side of it. I mean. Yeah, I like Cesaro. I'm a big fan of his.
I think a clear heel. I know fans got behind him, the Cesaro section and all that.
Right.
But, he's never jumped as a face to me. Maybe it's just me.
Really?
But he seems definitely a heel, especially with he doesn't have the theme anymore, but the James Bond theme and everything.
That was cool. I did like the whole tearaway tuxedo.
Yeah, I thought that was awesome. So up next on Raw, I wrote The Good. Undertaker speaks. So, Drew and Shane obviously came out and did their little thing where they start talking. And then
we got lightning. We got lightning back.
And I always loved the little Undertaker game.
And more pyro.
Yeah. So that's cool with me. Undertaker came out, did his usual promo.
Right.
And, it's obviously just a little teaser for things to come. So
I will take your soul. I'll swallow your soul.
And apparently they will never rest in peace.
Never.
So I think it's
they done messed up.
I think it's already been announced for Raw this week. It's going to be Shane and Drew versus Reigns and a partner of Shane's choosing. And if Undertaker interferes, the match at Extreme Rules is off. I could be wrong about that, but Just like Seth and Becky versus Andrade and Selena.
Yeah.
So that'll be good. But
I mean, just Shane.
yeah,
Just done.
I don't know. I don't know, but I don't think Heyman probably had much to.
No,
this
I think
feud's probably already.
I think anything happening with Shane McMahon does not have Heyman's fingerprints on it. I don't think Heyman, being a smart wrestling guy, probably understands that. Okay, you're done, Shane. You served your purpose and you've overstayed your welcome by about 2 years.
He's very plugged in, so I'm guessing he gets a million messages a day saying, "Hey, can you ban Shane from Raw or something?" Please. So up next, unfortunately, I wrote the bad. I just wrote Lacey Evans and Baron Corbin. Lacey beat Natalya, not much to it, but not so much as them, but just them as the main event.
Yeah.
Did Lacey versus Natalya feel like them building towards the Extreme Rules main event?
Not really.
Not at all. It felt like, Lacey was building up for a title shot, or she was still back in like January where she'd walk to the ring and, do nothing.
Right. And I don't know if it's just me, but her in-ring work doesn't seem as fluid as it did in NXT. Like, she seems very clunky now.
Yeah, I mean, she's always been more of a character person. Kind of has Corbin, but I think Corbin's gotten better. So
I remember her having some decent matches on NXT, though. Like, she was actually quite a good worker, and I was actually kind of behind her. I remember she posted a video with her daughter, and it was like, "Hey, so is your mom ever going to be NXT champ?" And the daughter from the back was like, "No!" And she's like, "What?" And turned the camera off.
Wow.
But I remember, and I remember when I saw that, I was like, well, don't sell yourself short. You've got a lot of time yet. And, now that I see her in the ring, she just doesn't seem as fluid and confident as she did back in NXT.
Well, and that's what all this is about, especially, again, working with Natalya or whoever,
Right.
She didn't need to beat Becky, and she won't at Extreme Rules, but, there's plenty of time. She just debuted.
Right.
So there's no reason to rush it.
And that's the other thing is like, okay, so we had one match at Money in the Bank. Now we had another one at Stomping Grounds. And how many times are they just going to rehash the same feud over and over and over
Yeah,
again?
I mean, they made the match Extreme Rules. It is going to be no disqualification.
Right.
So,
but I mean, that like 3 month extended thing that only can happen decently with the decent characters. Like Triple H, Batista pulled it off. Was it 5 straight pay-per-views and all of them were fantastic?
It was 3, and it was all 3 straight clean victories. But
Right.
the thing was, each time Triple H had an excuse. At WrestleMania, he never hit the pedigree.
Right.
And then for the next month, he talked about how Batista's eyes betrayed him, and he got scared when he set up the pedigree at WrestleMania.
Okay.
Backlash, there was a referee situation, and then
Right.
finally Triple H and Batista agreed.
Cell.
Yeah, it was pretty much you pick the match, you pick whatever stipulation, I'm gonna still beat you.
Right.
And then Triple H went for the match that obviously he's been in a bunch, and then Batista beat him, and then that was it. So
Right, but I mean, they pulled it off. You had great
Yeah.
characters like Triple H and Batista, just two going wild.
and I would say each time, Becky's won clean each time.
Right.
So
I mean, so you have to kind of recognize and kind of even, I hate to say, Vince, look at your fan base, but obviously nobody is as invested in this Becky Lynch, Lacey Evans thing anymore. And same thing with Corbin and Seth Rollins. We're done with it. Get them on, move them on to something else, give them a little title, whatever it is.
A little title.
Have Baron chase a 24/7 title. Lacey can run around
With her daughter.
Well, let's not bring daughters into it. But,
No, that's true.
she can run around being a sassy Southern Belle and maybe being a thorn in the side of Naomi and Carmella. Let them
Aren't they SmackDown?
have a thing.
Is the wild card
Does
rule-
that matter anymore, really? You're going to question me on semantics like that?
On the wild card rule?
What wild card
That's
rule?
my hill to die on, the wild card rule.
It doesn't exist.
It doesn't exist. So it's funny you mentioned the Vince thing. Do you think Lacey Evans and Corbin is a Paul Heyman deal or not?
I personally think it's a Vince thing. I know we've talked a little bit off air that Baron Corbin is well liked by Paul Heyman, and that's well and good. But I think that in this particular case, Baron Corbin has a place to shine, just not where he's at now, and we're kind of done with it now.
Yeah, and I would agree with that. And that was kind of what I was writing about in the column here, is that they're fine. I have nothing against Lacey Evans. Honestly, and I don't even have that much against Baron Corbin.
Right.
I really don't. But, main eventing now 3 in a row. And
Yeah.
the winner take all. Like, none of this felt like main event.
Yeah,
I need
and
to tune in.
It feels forced. It really does feel forced.
It feels like they need one more match out of the pay-per-view before whatever happens at SummerSlam.
Yeah, is somebody just not ready yet? We can't bring them in now, or what?
Do you want to know who?
No.
You love him. So anyway, we're going to move on there real quick. So
Now I know it. Oh, thank you for not saying it, but my God, now I know.
Hey, Heyman's running Raw. All right, so The Miz versus Elias. Do I even need to?
No.
I mean, is this another 2 out of 3 falls?
However, though, I mean, we did finally see the Figure 4 win a match for The Miz. I don't know how long ago it's been since that's happened.
More importantly, we finally saw Miz win.
Oh, there you go. He did finally win one.
So that would be my thing. Does this have anything to do with Heyman? Yes or no?
Probably not. I mean, I don't know what Miz and Heyman's chemistry is, or what Elias and Heyman's chemistry is, like if either, if they're on his good side, bad side, whatever. But it doesn't have that. It just feels kind of.
It feels
flat.
like what we've been seeing.
Yeah, exactly.
So nothing real new. I wrote in the column here. This is kind of an interesting little topic. I wrote that another USA decision that we ripped WWE for, but isn't even up to them. And I'm referring to the whole commercial thing, or I mean, what do you think of these matches stopping? And each week it's something. It's whatever.
I don't mind it so much if there's a clever way to do it. Like if when you had the Viking thing coming out and they did the whole big run in, and then they stopped the match, they went to commercial and came back as a 6-man tag.
I mean, and then we're doing 2 out of 3 falls, and then even AJ and Ricochet, which we'll get to in a little bit, the foot on the rope, the false finish. Like, I'll tune in next to see if it continues or holds up.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's how many creative ways can you do that for
I mean,
a
yeah,
match
and
break?
we're on, I think it's like our 10th 2 out of 3 falls.
And really, were we losing anything in those breaks? They were always just doing rest holds and stuff.
I never even had a problem with the commercial breaks.
And then there was they may still do it, where they would go to a commercial break and then the show is like in the top left-hand corner. Like,
yeah, I think SmackDown does that for certain ads.
I don't know why Vince is so adamant about not having wrestling during commercial breaks. We weren't really losing anything.
No, I never had a problem with it. I think it's more the quote-unquote, I don't want to say wrestling fans, but you know what I mean. The diehards that you went to a commercial during the match. Sports don't go to a commercial during the...
I get that,
and then it goes back to is it a sport? Is it entertainment?
Right.
I mean, it's all up in the air. What you want to call it is what you want to call it.
Right. And I mean, yeah, is it a sport or not? I mean, sometimes you just got to go, take a break from the action once in a while.
Yeah, and that goes back to what Fox apparently wants. They want more of a sport. So.
Right. Well, but Raw isn't Fox, or Raw isn't going to be on Fox.
Right.
SmackDown is.
Again, it feels like, though, if they're going to do it to Raw, they're going to do it to SmackDown. So maybe only do it on Raw, only do it on SmackDown. Somehow differentiate them, but whatever. I didn't really care. It's Miz versus Elias.
That's a good point.
Elias, who was moved to SmackDown. But anyways, so
yeah, and is on Raw.
So up next, this was definitely Heyman. We don't even need to discuss that.
The airlines must love these guys. Fly him back here. Fly him over there. Fly him over there. He's over there.
Frequent flyer miles.
Right.
All that. So
surprised they don't have a fleet of planes.
Take the private jet.
Right.
So I would say this
might save a bit.
A little bit. They would say Mike and Maria. This was definitely Heyman.
This is definitely, yeah. From what I heard, like Maria and Paul Heyman, they go way back. They're good friends.
Yeah, even from
mentors.
OVW. So, obviously that's self-explanatory there. But
wow.
But anyways,
what a way to go.
So just kind of set this up. Seth Rollins and Becky Lynch were giving a backstage interview. Honestly, it was, I mean, the word cringeworthy is, and, the whole lovey-dovey stuff. I don't really, I think they're still trying to find their footing of what they want to be as a couple. But I suppose
I'm personally am not the biggest fan of personal relationships being played out on TV. Maybe it's just me and my sappy nature, but the thing of like love and a romantic relationship, especially when it's like a real deal type of thing, that is too much of a rare and like wonderful thing to trivialize and put on TV, in my opinion. Like I don't think I would like to play out a storyline with my wife, where like our relationship is under the microscope.
I agree.
So, I mean, I get kind of a little not nervous, but like, I don't know, I kind of fall off when they start bringing their real life relationships into their work. It's like blending work and personal. And that's something that has always kind of just sat a little off with me.
Yeah, especially with what happens to Mike and Maria.
Yeah.
Can you imagine that? So
exactly. Like, I've been through a bad marriage and now I'm finally in a decent marriage. And like, I wouldn't want to like trivialize or compromise my current marriage for the sake of a storyline or a work thing,
Yeah, I mean, actors and stuff kiss other actresses in
Right,
movies.
but that's involved in the work thing. Like, that's not a personal thing. Like, this is blending the personal and work, and that's where lines start to get blurred and stuff gets, trivialized and doesn't mean as much to us regular folk.
Yeah, and Becky and Seth are even joking online right now that apparently they don't have a lot of chemistry.
I saw, like, Seth Rollins' chemistry class, and it was like them getting on a two-handed bike and it just falling over.
Yeah, I don't know about that. But anyways, Becky and Seth were given some interview that honestly I didn't think was too good. And all of a sudden, who interrupts them? Mike and Maria Kanellis.
Yep.
I mean, if you would have bet me $1 million, I mean, never, this was a big surprise. Never would have suspected it. But anyways, they just talked about how we're the real couple here.
Right.
And all this. And, it obviously led to a tag team match.
I was actually excited for this match when it came about. Because Mike Bennett had been going on and on about how he wants to be used more on TV.
Mike Kanellis.
Well, are you talking about his Twitter handle or his WWE name?
Oh, boy.
Exactly. So I was actually excited because I don't know Mike Bennett's work, from the past. I've seen a little bit here and there, but I'm not super familiar with it. So with him begging to be on TV, I was actually excited to see what he could do. And then I was very quickly disappointed.
I was told if you don't have anything nice to say, don't say anything at all. So that's my comment on Mike's past work. So,
okay.
Anyways.
Not a fan,
huh? Anyways.
Okay.
Back to the tag match.
Remember, kids, earlier in the podcast, pulling teeth to get information out of this guy.
Pulling teeth, unless we want to talk about Eric Young some more. But I will mention the tag match was, it was what it was. It was just kind of a teaser for Rollins and Becky to team up, kind of show everyone what Extreme Rules will be. And then we get to the post-match.
Which, do
you want to break this down? Or
what a way to announce it. Apparently she's pregnant. And then later on we find out that they actually are.
Yeah.
I thought it was interesting that, they got so close to, like, maybe getting Maria in the ring, and they just didn't, like, she didn't even get touched.
Yeah, you can say right away she had some now different ring gear on, I guess, if you want to go back and look.
I suppose, yeah. I did take notice of that. It didn't ring so true in my head, but I did think that is some interesting choice of ring gear.
Yeah, it's all hindsight now. You look back and you can, see that. So I'm going to say the part about Maria. So Becky went and was going to, punch her because she tagged her in. So it was, girls got it with girls. Yeah, it was time to get in there. And she grabs a mic and yells that she's pregnant. And, of course, Becky, stops and stuff, and nobody knows what's going on.
Right.
And then
it kind of rings back. I don't know if you ever saw Kill Bill 2, where they
long time ago.
They're, like, fighting each other, and then she says, I just found out that I'm pregnant. And then the person trying to kill her is like, are you for real? And she throws her the test, and sure enough, she's like backs out of the room, shotgun still pointing. She's like, congratulations, and runs away.
Oh. All right, so so then Mike ended up losing, and then Seth and Becky kind of just got out of Dodge, and then
that happened.
And then Maria just completely ripped on Mike.
Yeah, she just totally took him to the woodshed.
Pretty much was like, I don't know how I'm pregnant. You're not man enough, and all this. And
I guess we're getting a little edgy on the third hour.
The only man here is Becky. I wish she impregnated me or something.
Yeah,
like what?
There was a lot of what's going on in the old household here.
So, I had no idea what was going on about, if he was pregnant or not. But I'm going to obviously assume this is some sort of Heyman. He did something in ECW pretty similar.
Yeah.
And what do you think? Is this the end of it? Does Mike disappear? Or do we get now 9 months of who's the father with Maria each week?
It depends on, are they trying to, write this into a story and keep it going? Or are they trying to write Maria off TV and explain why she's not going to be there, while she's doing this?
Yeah, I don't think Maria will stick around. And I don't know if Mike will. I could see this kind of going a few weeks with Mike complaining and then finally someone just like shutting him up and then they are off TV for a while.
They did sign brand new 5-year deals, so they got a lot to do.
Yeah, that's what makes it more interesting. I think the story is that they didn't tell them because they didn't know yet.
The story that I read,
or they
knew that they were trying to get pregnant. They informed WWE that they wanted to have another child prior to signing their new deal. They didn't find out they were pregnant until like a week ago.
Okay.
Which just after they signed their deals, then, hey, look at this.
5-year deals. Here we go again.
So maybe they were already, and they were like, yeah, we're trying sign the dot. Yeah, we are. Woo! Look at that. Pay me money.
Hey, pay me money.
Pay me that money.
Otherwise, this was just very edgy, and I mentioned it again. Column 411mania.com. And you gotta take the good and the bad with Heyman. If you're gonna praise him as a genius and all this, he also kind of likes this kind of stuff. So
it was a little hard to hear. I mean, the poor guy's getting berated, on national TV in front of a live audience.
My favorite line was when she was yelling at Mike and then pointing at Seth. She's like, I should have known you couldn't mop the floor with him. You can't even mop up at home. Or something.
I thought that was good. But I did have a little PTSD come in of my first marriage. So.
Uh-oh. Well, then we're going to move on.
She was just as evil.
Wow.
Yeah.
We're going all out here. So
all elite?
All elite?
Oh.
All in? All right.
Ooh,
so
well, that's over.
Good thing we got some positive. So we have Nikki Cross and Alexa Bliss. Obviously, that story's continuing. Carmella beat Alexa Bliss. I guess Carmella's on Raw, but whatever. I guess
she's anywhere. Again, wild card, what?
Why she wanted to interject in this, I didn't understand where she suddenly popped up. But then right after that, Nikki beat Carmella.
Right.
So obviously the point was Nikki could do something Bliss couldn't.
And then in the post-match interview, they're saying, what do you think about the fans saying they want Nikki in the title shot instead of Alexa? No comment.
No comment.
Done.
Yeah, that's building again. So,
I mean, Alexa's the perfect person to tell this story. I know that we've done it a couple of times with Nia Jax, but and Mickie James too.
Yeah, it does kind of suck that Bayley's kind of caught in the middle, but I think she also kind of plays the perfect.
It keeps her on TV though.
Oh, it keeps her on TV.
I know the focus isn't on Bayley, but I mean, it keeps her on TV.
I will say a quick note about then the SmackDown continuation. So then Bliss let Nikki host a Moment of Bliss.
Right.
And Bayley came out, and right away she's like, everyone thinks you should get the title match, not, Bliss and all this. And Bayley was trying to get her to see her, the truth and all this.
Right.
So then they ended up getting challenged to a match, and, Bayley and Nikki Cross had a match, and Bayley won in like 2 or 3 minutes.
Well, I mean.
But I know she's the champ and all that, but the whole point of the story was, Nikki Cross could do what Bliss
Alexa
couldn't.
can't, yeah.
And then they had the match, and then it was like, well, nope, I guess not. Bayley beat her.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of a weird storytelling. Like I said, I didn't watch SmackDown, so I'm just learning about this from you now. But
yeah, that match did not.
That
need to
automatically,
happen.
like, kind of it cheapens the story now because
that felt like the end game, not just a 2-minute segment on SmackDown.
We kind of had this feeling of where it was going. We're kind of excited about it because Nikki Cross is finally on TV and she's getting her shot. She should. I honestly, and I'm never really a fan of like the champion taking losses, or maybe they could have schmozzed the ending in some fashion,
Yeah, Bliss could have then like cost her the chance
right,
to win,
or
then,
something cheated or whatever.
Then Nikki could have looked at her like I had it won,
right?
Something like that. But my guess is on Raw, and this is just a guess. It's currently Friday night. My guess is on Raw, maybe then Bliss will be like, see, Nikki, she beat you. You're just not as good as you think. Or, something to like put her down, put her in her place, and then Nikki will doubt herself.
Or maybe it turns out that Bayley was just gifted with superpowers right before the match, and, then she gets to go get an Infinity Stone.
That could be too. So, any Paul Heyman fingerprints?
No, not. I mean, again, it's a continuation of something that they've already started, and I think specifically because that Bayley beat Nikki Cross in such a short, clean. Was it a clean?
It was as clean as clean can be.
Yeah, so I mean, I think Heyman has enough wrestling sense that he'd be like, she at least needs to like get disqualified or something.
Yeah, I don't even think Bliss went out there, but I'm just gonna say this now, like, if the shows are different, clearly the rosters need to be different because if Bischoff won SmackDown one way, but then all of a sudden something big happened on Raw. I mean, I'm assuming he'd get a heads up about a major like development.
Yeah, right.
But then, like, how is he going to finish someone else's story?
Exactly.
Like, if Heyman had that as the end game, but then Bischoff thought, hey, this week I should do that. I don't know. They definitely have to have the separate rosters because, I mean, if you're just going to continue each week to show, then there's There's just no way it's going to work with
I agree.
two different guys.
I mean, what's the whole point of the superstar shakeup and the brand split and having two different titles and da-da-da-da-da-da-da, you know?
Well, I always thought of the story, it's, what's the saying? It's something like, you're not going to finish someone else's novel. You
Right.
know, they know where the story's going, so you're not going to pick up on page 400 and start writing.
Unless...
I mean, you have no idea what's in the head or the mind or what they're going for, or what little foreshadowing happened earlier. So how is
Right.
Bischoff now supposed to get in Heyman's head and be like, well, now I'm going to do this?
Unless he wrote down everything he did before he died so that somebody else could take over. That happened actually with a book series that I was a big fan of.
Really?
The author died with 2 books left to finish. He had it, but before he died, he actually dictated the entire rest of the story to his wife. And she then, I think it was in some physical form, and then she gave it to a writer that both the author that had deceased and the wife trusted, and he went and finished off the last 2 books. Phenomenal, and did very, very good job.
Oh, nice.
I loved every minute of it.
All right. So
I mean, it is possible to
Yeah.
finish someone else's novel, but I mean, he had explicit, direction to go.
yeah, hopefully Heyman's not leaving us anytime soon.
No, I don't think anybody will be. They're too protected.
Right.
They're immortal. Everybody on TV is immortal. They're not like us.
No, absolutely not. So our main event, once again, Ricochet, AJ Styles.
Yeah.
2 weeks in a row. This time the United States Championship. AJ kind of won it, I guess, with the false finish, which
I mean,
I didn't
technically
care for.
not.
Yeah, the whole foot under the ropes thing. I mean, again, a cheap thing to get to a commercial break. I mean, that pretty much just tells us we're never going to have like a classic TV match again. That's what it tells me.
Yeah, kind of. I mean, it kind of does feel like that, doesn't
When's
it?
the last time we had a 20, 30-minute, like, Seth Rollins, gauntlet type performance? We're getting these 5-minute little...
Yeah, does that do away with the gauntlet matches now?
I have no idea. Would that count as the same match if a pin and then... Yeah, I have no idea. But anyways, the match did end up restarting, and obviously we all know what happened. Ricochet.
One and only.
Ricochet got the victory. I did not like him losing last week to AJ.
Right, I didn't either.
I liked that he had momentum and all this after Stomping Grounds, and didn't like him then losing 24 hours later. But anyways, Ricochet got the win here. That kind of makes up for it a little bit. But the real story of the night, the whole night, Carl Anderson and Luke Gallows had been kind of,
Hemming and hawing, hanging around.
yeah, kind of
Tex Ferguson.
putting their nose
Chad Too Bad.
in the AJ Styles business and fired him up to slap him around and all this fun stuff. And sure enough, at the end, it was true.
The club is back. And from what I read, it looks like that Gallows and Anderson might be sticking around now.
Yeah, that is very interesting. That kind of would go against why I would assume they were back together. But if they're back together, I mean, kind of like the Revival, does that mean they're next to get suckered into a new deal?
It could be, or...
Mike and Maria just appeared on Raw after a 5-year deal for the first time in forever.
I know that Paul Heyman likes Ricochet, and he's a big fan of AJ and Gallows and Anderson. So
How can you not like Ricochet?
Right, exactly. But so I mean, we're definitely going to see Ricochet in high level spots coming up, from what I can tell. There's a little more on the Heyman, who he likes and stuff like that we can get into later. But I think that they actually have a chance to maybe do this club thing right. Because they kind of did it with John Cena, and it was decent for a minute. But I think that there's so many more elements. I mean, how long has it been since we had a really good, stable, the club, I think, could do something kind of similar to what Evolution did, or, where they just cause havoc or havoc. I'm sorry, my wife makes fun of me for saying that word wrong all the time.
Havoc?
Havoc is, I've heard it both ways, so I've always said
I say
havoc.
documentary, so.
Oh, really?
We're all kind of
documentary.
I say documentary. It's a little weird, but
I
whatever.
saw a really good documentary that we can talk about off air because I don't feel comfortable being public about it. But
wow, Mr. Pulling Teeth. So, anyways, the whole thing with
150.
right. So, I think I think this definitely has a chance to be better than last time.
Absolutely.
The last time it was only, I think it was only 2 months.
Yeah.
And they did the whole beat up John Cena.
Beat up
thing.
John Cena. Yeah.
So I assume this, Heyman has something to do with this.
I hope. I think in Heyman's hands, it has a chance to be really, really good.
Yeah, and AJ as a heel, I don't know if it was necessary, but maybe he did kind of feel
With Gallows and Anderson being the type of monsters that they have the potential to be, you kind of almost have to have a heel at the front of it.
Yeah, definitely. They would need a quote unquote leader. I mean,
Again, how many face stables have there really ever been too?
yeah, that's
DX
true,
was
too.
like in between.
That's true too. That's a good point.
Yeah.
So I'm fine with the heel turn. I like it. I know AJ Styles is obviously a fan favorite, but sometimes when it calls for it,
He can do the heel though. Like
yeah, he can do
that
it.
whole build up with Shane McMahon, I thought was done real well.
Yeah, the heel side, kind of needed some people right now. So if that's
Agreed.
what he's got to do, then that's what he's got to do. What did you think overall of Monday Night Raw?
I thought it felt fresh. It felt like there was some new elements there, something to kind of get invigorated. I actually sat and watched all 3 hours this week for the first time since what was their last Saudi Arabia greatest pay-per-view,
Super Showdown?
Super Happy Death Down, whatever. Kill people.
Wow. Whoa.
Yeah, since actually more or less since Brock winning Money in the Bank contract, like I kind of boycotted, but this time I actually sat down and watched the whole thing because with Heyman's fingerprints on it, it actually felt like it had potential to be entertaining.
Okay.
And I was not disappointed. I had a great time watching it.
Yeah, the key always to me, I mean, they got the little ratings bump and all that, but the key
Right.
to me always is the follow-up.
Yeah, let's see what I will be watching next week because I'm curious to see how much more Paul Heyman gets involved.
Yeah, and I mean, if they go right back to what it was and all that, like what did last week really mean then?
Exactly, yeah.
So it's got to continue, and then obviously Extreme Rules, and then, SummerSlam, and I would assume they have something kind of big for that.
Let's not forget that Eric Bischoff will then be taking the reins of SmackDown, so I might even be paying more. I may even put it back on my DVR.
Whoa.
How about that, huh?
That is saying a lot.
I'll let it grace my DVR again.
What an honor.
Right? That's a high place. I mean, I got a movie from way about 5 or 6 years ago still on there.
Oh, nice. Which movie do you know?
The Psych movie.
Okay.
Did you ever see the TV show Psych?
I have not, but I know a lot of people think
fantastic.
it's hilarious, right?
I've seen it both ways.
Okay.
Come on, son.
Come on. So I'm going to fit in some cheap plugs right here. You are listening to the 411 Foresight Wrestling Podcast, 411 Podcasting Network. You know that already. You can find us on iTunes, Spotify, Stitcher, Google Play, YouTube, and, of course, 411mania.com. Mr. Steve, what do you got?
Oh, I got a little music project called The Resonant Complex. www.theresonantcomplex.com is where you can find kind of the headquarters of that. Also, it is available anywhere digital music is sold, iTunes, Spotify, or streamed. YouTube, Google Play, you name it, you can find it. Go check it out. The debut album, North Avenue by The Resonant Complex.
Absolutely. So we're going to kind of move over to a little AEW.
Oh, boy. Chairgate.
Yeah, they had a show, I think it was last week, whatever night it was. I didn't watch it, didn't really care for it. So
I didn't have the time.
No, I think it was, what was it called, Fyter Fest?
Fyter Fest, yeah.
Okay, so honestly, not a whole lot of headlines coming out of it, except Moxley is nuts.
Moxley is insane. It took him a whole 2.5 seconds to go nuts and just destroy everything and everyone in his path.
Yeah, and isn't he in, I think it's called the G1, or some
he's
tournament
in
or something?
He's in entered in a tournament. Well, he is the currently New Japan United States champion.
That is true, from Juice.
Right, one from Juice Robinson.
Okay.
He entered into the G1 Climax tournament, and I guess they had a bunch of promo for it today, and he was the only one absent from all that. So read into that what you want.
Is that an AEW move, or his back can't move?
Or maybe he's just like taking some time off. He does have some independent stuff, I know. I don't know what his schedule is, but I know that his deals with AEW and New Japan allow him to focus on other stuff as well. So maybe he's got a signing or a promo or something coming up that he's doing. But
yeah, I think most of that is probably going to be exclusive once the TV show starts.
Oh, absolutely.
I mean,
yeah.
and you're seeing it right now. They don't want their guys destroying their bodies.
Well, right now, I mean, it actually is. It would pay off for AEW to let them kind of go other places and do stuff, because then it's like, okay, we're doing this now. Now come fall, come check me out on AEW, because that's the only place you're going to see it.
It's a little bit of I don't want to say free promotion, but it kind of is. So
it's brilliant marketing, really.
The other headline to me, obviously, and this is what we're going to quick kind of talk about. I'm not sure if we have too many thoughts on it, but Chairgate.
Chairgate. I mean,
so
we were talking off air, and you kind of alluded to having some nasty thoughts about this guy, but there was that Sami Callihan, Eddie Edwards thing from Impact, where by mistake, Eddie Edwards took the brunt of a baseball bat, steel baseball bat.
To the eye.
Oh, my God. I remember watching that GIF over and over again, just being like cringing every time.
Yeah,
But then they wrote it into a storyline.
right, and I would say that, it was the right move to do that, and
Right.
you kind of should do that, obviously, unless it's not tasteful, or if, the guy says, no, I don't feel comfortable about,
Right. But I mean, basically where I was going with that is that mistakes mistakes happen. And I've seen this chair shot from many, many different angles. And there was one angle where it was actually kind of not behind Shawn Spears, but kind of off to his right side. And you got a really good shot of that chair, of the how it reacted when it hit Cody Rhodes. It definitely looked like the chair was set up to take that kind of a hit. Now, it could be Shawn Spears misjudging. Maybe Cody wasn't standing in the right place. Unfortunately, that back of the chair got him. And as we all know, steel and flesh, they don't like each other very much.
I think steel always wins.
Steel usually wins, unless you're Colossus from the Marvel movies.
I was going to mention, actually, what you said. Mistakes happen, but here's where
Right.
the thin line goes.
Okay.
It's a fine line between mistakes happen
And putting yourself in that position.
and just being reckless.
Right.
And this was the opposite side of the Callahan-Edwards shot. Was that a mistake happening, or was this just, a dude set his chair on the chest, and this guy was going to whip a baseball bat at full force and come right down on you?
You put it's kind of like,
At some point, do they not stop? And I remember from WrestleMania 17, this doesn't necessarily fit, but to me it did. It was the part where Jeff Hardy tried to walk across the top of the ladders.
oh yeah.
And needless to say, it didn't work. And
Right.
at some point, somebody had to have said, well, this is either going to end horribly or this just isn't going to work. But,
Right.
when you have an idea in your head, you're going to see it through, and you're going to do it and be stubborn about it and do it no matter what.
And I guess it's a matter of if you don't want to get hurt like that or take a chair shot to the head, then don't. Don't put yourself in the position okay, you can gimmick a chair all you want. You can make things as safe as possible all you want. Mistakes happen. People get hurt. If you're not in that position in the first place, then you're not going to get a head wound,
Yeah, Cody's a little old school, obviously, with his family and stuff. So I think he even tweeted out earlier, update, wrestling is violent,
Yeah.
pretty much mocking
I it kind of goes back, if you're in a relationship and it's monogamous and you want to stay with that person, well, then you don't go out to the bar every night and look for women or put yourself in that position to cheat on your relationship.
Absolutely.
So why even be in that position if you don't want, if you're not willing to get the headshot and you're not willing to take that kind of damage, then you don't put yourself in there. Now, going forward, I bet you we won't see too many unprotected head chair shots,
Yeah, I'm going to say it was very interesting right away that it was Cody, basically a guy running the company.
Yeah,
so if anyone's going to take
that
the
doesn't
heat,
surprise me as much because of the family lineage and the way he loves to push the envelope. I think at this point, this is where Tony Khan needs to come in and be like, okay, dude, you did it once.
Yeah.
Now we're just gonna go to the back. No more head stuff, because CTE, all that stuff is so rampant now. Now that we're finally, you have to think about it. We still, to this day, don't really know how the brain works.
Yeah, aren't they trying to do tests while they're alive, because you can only test for it when they're dead?
Right.
Which sucks, obviously. But I'm gonna again go back to what I said about Cody was the one who did it. I wonder if this was a lower card guy. Cody can kind of take the heat right now because he's, the savior and everyone loves him about starting AEW. So he can kind of do this and not, I don't want to say get away with it, but people will cut him slack and be like, oh, this is just part of the show. But if this was just two guys who, were nothing on the kickoff show or whatever.
Luchasaurus and the Sunny Kiss. Just for example.
Hey, Luchasaurus was on Big Brother.
I love Luchasaurus. Don't get me wrong. But I'm saying if it was that two guys, I bet you it would not have happened.
Right. And then just to kind of go to your other point, after the show, the Young Bucks had mentioned that the chair shot was, what did they say?
Gimmicked. Yeah, the chair was gimmicked. They said, what do you think about Cody taking an unprotected headshot? And I don't know which Jackson is which, but the blonde one. I don't know what I know there's Matt and Nick, but I don't know which is which.
Wow.
Anyways, the blonde one, he said, well, you think it was unprotected, meaning that they did work the chair so that it would collapse.
Yeah, and I have two thoughts about this. One is, how do you feel about them revealing that? I know kayfabe's dead, but
I'm fine with it. In fact, I actually feel more comfortable with it because it could have been a whole lot worse. We know that had everything been done right, it would have looked awesome, and it would have been a huge, like, oh my God, like big point of the match had it not, gone wrong.
Yeah, I know there's some that are saying, well, AEW is already like admitting behind the fourth wall and all this. It's like, well, what happened to presenting a different product? If
The fourth wall has been dead since the internet
But
came
then
out.
you go back to Talking Dead, they'll air The Walking Dead, and then afterwards they'll sit there and talk about the show and
Right.
stuff. So,
Exactly.
as long as they keep it separate, I'm fine. And then here's the other conspiracy theory I heard is that the chair shot was unpredicted. It wasn't gimmicked at all. And then they just they saw the reaction to everyone online saying this is garbage. And then an hour later at the press conference, they're like, well, it wasn't.
Yeah, but like I said,
were they covering their tracks a
referencing
little?
to what I said earlier, though, like from that particular angle, basically the very second that the sitting part of the chair made contact with Cody's head, the chair was bent. I mean, it looked like foil. So it was the very, very second it made contact with him, the thing started bending and collapsing. So it was definitely rigged in some fashion to be more, I'm not going to say safe, but less lethal than if it was just a straight up steel chair.
Yeah, 10 staples don't seem too safe.
Right. Well, that's because that you can only do so much. You can do the seat part of the chair, but there's that lovely piece of metal that your back rests on there that's solid, man. And if you don't judge it right,
yeah, you can't hit that backrest.
Exactly.
There's nothing that you can
and
protect there.
that's what clipped them. That's what caused the 12 stitches is the part that they couldn't gimmick.
I think it's like almost a comparison of it was kind of like Hogan would pre-rip the top of his
Right,
shirts.
yep, I remember seeing that.
You still have to rip it.
But in fact,
but it's already,
Funny side note that you say that. I remember when I was a kid and I would get WWF magazine and like they would have the merchandise part, or I would get the merchandise catalog for WWF at the time.
Okay.
And they actually sold the Hulk Hogan t-shirts that were prepared to be torn apart.
Wow.
Yeah.
I didn't know that at all.
Yeah. It was like they said it. They had like it was little, I don't know if it was torn, like started at the collar or whatever, but it was made and they advertised to be easily ripped apart.
Yeah, what it would be is like the part under, the collar part, the heart part pretty
right.
much. That would already be cut. So then once you can rip it a little. But either way, I don't know. Tony Khan said that like the intergender stuff and the chair shot stuff won't be on the TNT show.
No, that makes sense. I mean, you're going for a national cable audience. You kind of want to make sure that you're not going to have that was garbage, that was unsafe. You don't want to have that kind of heat coming down on you right off the bat. Intergender thing I'm fine with. I've never really been a fan of intergender wrestling. It just seems like an unnecessary shock system.
Yeah, I mean, and Triple H has mentioned it. I mean, it's not like everyone says, well, when the girl beats the guy, they're a bigger star. Well, I mean, Becky, Charlotte, and Ronda just main evented WrestleMania, and there were no guys anywhere.
Right, exactly. And then, conversely, who's, is there going to do the 50-50 booking? Is the guy going to need to get his win back? And then, then he's an asshole, or he's a jerk for... I'll bleep that out later.
You bleep it out. No,
Yeah.
You can leave it in. So then it's just, right back to where it is. Like, I know Sami Callihan, you mentioned, is facing Tessa Blanchard at the Impact pay-per-view. I think it's Slammiversary. I'm not sure. Or maybe it already happened.
Did they cancel that, or did that go through?
Oh, boy.
I thought I read something that there was some controversy about that. Or no. He was promoting it. It was going to happen because he was getting a lot of flack for having to facing Tessa.
Eli Drake, left the company.
Right.
Because they had announced him versus Tessa without
That's
asking
what
him.
it was. That's what it was.
And he
it
had
wasn't
left.
Sammy.
And apparently they had also asked Moose, and he declined it, but, he didn't make it public. Eli, of course, then went on a whole, I respect everyone and all that, but, it's just not realistic, and it's not for me. And, he pretty much probably already knew he was going to end up losing. So.
I mean, in the Me Too era, like, how much can you get away with this intergender stuff?
Yeah, and I know the argument is, well, Mia Yim, NXT, had mentioned that the difference is between domestic violence and intergender is consent. The girl's getting in the ring and knowing full well, and the guy,
that opens up a whole Roe versus Wade can of worms type of thing.
Yeah,
I
don't think we should bother with that, but it's just interesting that basically what Tony Khan was getting at was when you get one of our pay-per-views, you're going to see stuff like this. The TV show, no.
Yeah.
But pay-per-view, when you pay your $40, you're actually going to get something worth. So.
I mean, I guess it's an interesting way to try and sell pay-per-views. It's an interesting thing,
and it's almost, I wouldn't even be against WWE doing this. Obviously not the chair shots to the head, but, when you buy a pay-per-view, you have to get something different than you're going to get on Raw or SmackDown.
That's true. I agree with that.
I mean, if you're getting a pay-per-view, you should get something out
It should
of it.
feel more like it should feel more than a glorified show.
Right, exactly. I mean,
Right.
when you're paying your money and all that. So, any closing thoughts on the AEW thing? And then we got one more topic left.
I know they had a really Kenny Omega and the Young Bucks had a really cool Street Fighter type entrance. I read.
Yeah, that's always good. I think obviously the wrestling part of the show
Oh, and
will
then-
always be fine.
And then Kenny got his back against Moxley. He got to come back from Double or Nothing. He got his little say in there. So
Yep, I think
that's going to be an awesome story. And I'm actually I wish I could watch more AEW. Then I feel kind of bad for missing it, but I just didn't have the time or the money.
I think they've already slowly been like releasing free clips on YouTube of the
really?
matches, or the free matches. So
I should check that out.
I mean, yeah, this one I don't think was $40. I think it was on the BR Live app. I think it was for free. I could be wrong about
really?
that, but they definitely wanted this one to be put out.
Well, that's something for their promotion. You need to let this stuff be known. I probably would have watched it had I known where to find it.
And then they have the was it Fallen? What is the
Fight for the Fallen.
Fight for the Fallen? And then
August 31st, I want to say.
no, that's all out. The
Oh, okay, then it's before then.
Fallen one is in 2 weeks, I think, or
Is
1
it?
week.
It's
Yeah.
whenever that Evolve show is on.
Yeah, that's right. Which is the night before Extreme Rules. 'Cause
Okay,
they're all in
there it
Philly.
is. Oh, that's right. That's right.
So
Okay.
that makes more sense. And then, then it's a full build to All Out. And then after that, we're getting
TNT.
which we're still waiting on the actual night and
Right. Yeah.
date of that. But
They might announce that just before the fall season. Like with all the other TV blast stuff coming up.
yeah, I'm gonna assume at one of their pay-per-views coming up, they'll.
I'm sure they know.
Oh yeah, they've known all this for a while. So. The last topic, it's kind of a minor thing, but I suppose it could be big. So we started the podcast talking about Bray Wyatt and when he's going to have a match.
Mm-hmm.
So now we kind of ended full circle of Alistair Black. So somebody knocked on his door finally.
Right. Right.
And
He looked intrigued.
He looked intrigued. He went to answer it. Nobody was there, but says he'll be waiting for him at Extreme Rules. So a little note, it's in Philadelphia.
Yeah.
So if that matters for crowd reaction.
Shout out to Botchamania because I watched the Alistair Black little segment. He was featured on there, and they in one of the endings where they kind of do something comic-y. So thanks to Matthew for that one.
Oh, I'm afraid to ask what they did.
I can't remember exactly. It wasn't like a botch thing. It was at the ending where they just like inject some comedy into like a promo or something like that.
Oh, from like a TV show?
Yeah,
or something?
yeah. I think, and he's a huge Simpsons fan, so it might have even been that like knock on the door. Why are you knocking or something like that?
Simpsons is awesome.
Simpsons are great.
I
Absolutely.
love watching old episodes.
I just want to give a shout out to Botchamania for showing me the Alistair Black thing that I
for showing me
apparently
the
missed.
way.
Showing me the way.
So, any guesses on Alistair Black versus Question?
I mean, who's out there? You got Orton. You got
Orton seems like the obvious.
right.
I
mean,
you could argue Bray Wyatt,
Nakamura.
who seems to not be doing anything with Finn Balor.
Yeah, because I mean,
does
or maybe it could be Finn.
Finn is Rusev
Hey, I got
on
this
his way.
title. Rusev, we don't know any of their stats. It could be Lana for all we know.
Intergender.
Right.
It wouldn't make much sense, but perhaps
I did like that kick that he did and spin the bottle cap off. I think there was a couple of MMA fighters that have done it too. They basically do this like roundhouse kick, and they hit a bottle just slightly on the cap that it spins and like comes off.
What?
And Alistair did it with his black mass.
Oh, come on.
Yeah, it was really cool.
I haven't seen this. So,
Yeah.
dang it. I was saying perhaps his old buddy Ricochet.
No, Ricochet's busy. He's doing stuff. He's got the AJ Styles thing going on.
Perhaps R-Truth randomly knocked on the wrong door.
Now that I could see, that would be great. That would I wouldn't like that because as we've mentioned a couple of weeks ago, I find Alistair Black to be in that position of the lead, enigma character like Undertaker once was. So I mean, it would be hilarious if that was R-Truth, but it would cheapen the story that they're trying to build with Alistair.
Yeah, he's definitely going to be cheered in Philly, which makes me think it'll be a heel. I don't think we're going to get some epic face versus face.
John Cena.
Yeah, I don't think so. I think it's going to be some heel. The rumor, for whatever you give it for credence, is Cesaro.
I could see that, but I mean, didn't we just see him on Raw?
I mean, it doesn't have to be a mystery.
Right, but I mean, he was obviously. I mean, I could see it, but then I don't know. It just doesn't. It doesn't feel organic.
Yeah, either does Bray Wyatt. Doesn't seem like he'd kind of fit here. I know Orton's kind of the popular one. They've been kind of doing some live event matches, almost kind of testing the waters and kind of getting set. But that, again, feels almost like a SummerSlam thing. So, see, I don't know if he's due back, but I'm going to almost guess Sheamus is the big reveal.
That would be good.
And he would be someone that could be a heel.
He could be a heel.
And he could, take the loss and be fine.
Absolutely. And he's from what I've heard, he's in incredible shape. He dropped like 40 pounds or something like that. And, I mean, that would be intriguing to see how they would bring him back,
Yeah, and if he was backstage at SmackDown, maybe
didn't he leave as a heel?
Maybe they could have filmed some stuff. Yeah, with the bar, I'm pretty sure.
Right. Yeah, he was the hated character of the bar because we all love Cesaro.
Yeah, we love Cesaro. So that would make sense that he was backstage. Maybe they were filming some or taking pictures.
That could be. Or he had to knock on a door.
Or new gear, or he was knocking on random doors back.
I'll find the right one of these days.
Can you get anyone else? No, we specifically need you to
we
fly
need you
in and
to knock on a door.
Off camera.
Can you imagine? That's all he did. We fly you across the country or from Ireland or wherever you're at, and we just want you to go knock on a door. But
enjoy catering the rest of the day.
Yeah, have catering, and I can't eat anything back there.
Nope, knock on this door. All right, any closing thoughts before we head on out?
I know I mentioned earlier that there's a couple of guys that Paul Heyman is like really, really gunning for. One of them is Ricochet. He loves Ricochet. We know that he's a big fan of the Street Profits, but then a real interesting name, Paul Heyman is a really big fan of Lio Rush. Oh. So what is that going to do now? Because Lio Rush is still technically under contract.
Oh, gosh.
So, I mean, is he going to get used? Are we going to see him? Or are they just going to, like...
Maybe he's going to...
Cut your losses, Paul.
Save Lashley and resuscitate him.
I hope... If Lio Rush does anything, I hope it's on his own.
He's going to mouth-to-mouth save his life, and then Lashley will take him back for the 10th time or something. I don't know.
Okay, this took a weird turn.
No, boy. So, I don't know, but that is funny that you'd mention that. I mean, would you be against Lio Rush coming back? Does he have to apologize? Or...
I would be interested to see what he can do on his own, but I don't think I'd give him a lot of... he'd have to wow me pretty quick for me to be invested in his story.
Yeah, and I know everyone says that in wrestling, size and all that doesn't matter. But I mean, is he gonna, hang with everyone else? I mean, him versus, I don't want to say Braun, but anyone. Immediately, you just go, okay, this guy's like 100.
I mean, if you think though, like him and Braun would be kind of cool because Leo's very evasive and he has a bunch of really intriguing ways to get the heck out of someplace.
Yeah, I've mentioned it before, but if you have time, go to YouTube and watch Velveteen Dream versus Lio Rush from NXT.
Dream.
It is very interesting, very good. I think it's like a 4-minute match.
Oh, really?
And yeah, like you said, just the way he moves and the quickness of Lio Rush. So I don't know. That'd certainly be something.
If he changed his demeanor and he went out there and was just like trying to be a good worker, I think it could work.
Yeah, and Heyman's always been kind of known as taking a guy's strength and focusing and just avoiding the weakness.
Right. I mean, he did awesome things with CM Punk and all that stuff. Even OVW, giving him the tools to become what he became.
Right, and that is called Maria Kanellis. So we are going to hold out. What? OVW, Maria?
Right, yeah, but
oh boy.
I didn't mention her.
He's
did. Saying that he gave CM Punk Maria Kanellis and now...
Well, they dated.
Did they really?
They did.
Oh, I didn't know that. I thought he dated Lita and...
He did, and Beth Phoenix.
And Really? Oh,
yep.
Wow.
How do you think they met?
Maria. Gets around.
Maria on the main roster when I think Punk won the title. Like they had an awkward type interview, or I don't know.
Wish I could play a Tupac song right now.
Yeah, even with the when Beth Phoenix got the GTS in the Rumble, I think they were dating at the time.
Oh,
so
yeah.
Punk was kind of like I don't want to say
it.
I don't want to say setting it up, but when Beth eliminated Great Khali,
yeah,
and then she turned around and then got the GTS and thrown over. So they probably went back to the hotel and laughed about it.
Interesting.
So I guess we took a weird turn there at the end.
Oh, we always do.
We always do. All right, I'm going to end this before I say anything else stupid. So you can listen to us on iTunes, obviously Apple iTunes. You can give us a nice 5-star review there.
And we'll give you the full podcast this time. We won't cut it off 5 minutes early.
Yeah.
Sorry about that.
Apologies on that one.
That's my bad.
That goes with the rough couple days of
This one's on me.
My bad.
My bad.
So iTunes, Spotify, Stitcher, Google Play, YouTube, and if you want to, you can actually follow me on Twitter. I am there. It is
He's
at Justin Watry. I am there.
You'll actually get more information out of there than you would in real life.
Wow. All right. So what do you got for us all?
Hey, we got the Resonant Complex debut album, North Avenue, is available everywhere music is sold, iTunes, Spotify, YouTube, Google Play. You can find it. Just search the Resonant Complex for all your Resonant Complex needs.
I am in need of Resident Complex right now.